Welcome back to Platinum Hunters Extra, the show where we take a look at trophy, oddities, and more trophy information, as well, in the case of this video, information on our favorite Sony studios, and specifically the first party studios. Because we just had our showcase that just outlined a lot of crunchy information regarding new projects and ones that we've seen already in the PlayStation Studios lineup. And this showcase gave us a good idea about what these studios are all up to, but not all of them. So we are going to take the time today and dive into all the confirmed projects, the rumored projects, and speculate what studios could be working on. I want to do this after every big showcase so we can have like a gut check for what these studios are up to, and I went and found a whole bunch of pieces of information that I'm going to have linked down below that point to what these studios are up to. Now, I just want to say that this is going to be only for the first party studios, so we're not going to be taking a look at what Kojima's up to or other second party studios like Lucid Games, although they do make an appearance, but just the first party studios, the ones that Sony owns. And that's going to include the new acquisition from Firesprite. Now, if you look, we're going to go by the stoplight system. So if the stoplight is green, that means that this thing I'm talking about is confirmed. It is coming out. There's been information revealed about it, and it's confirmed. We're going to be getting the game. If the light is yellow, it's going to be based off of reports that we've gotten. This means the game may or may not be confirmed, but there are pieces of information that we know about that are pointing towards it being a certain game or project. And then finally, there's the red light, and that's going to be my speculation as to what they are working on. There is no report attached to it. I'm just going off of the information that I know about, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what they are working on. So without further ado, in no particular order, we are going to start with Insomniac Games, my favorite studio of all time. And according to the PlayStation Showcase, we know what they're up to because they revealed Marvel's Spider-Man 2 at the showcase, which we knew was going to be coming because of the two teasers from the past two games. But the other one that we didn't know about and did not expect for them to show is Marvel's Wolverine. Wolverine is getting his own game made by Insomniac Games, another important Marvel IP that Insomniac will be the shepherds of going forward. So we kind of know what they're up to, and we can only kind of speculate if there is at all any other projects that they're going to be working on. They are staffing up. They are a big studio that's worked on multiple projects before. So in the speculation, they could be working on a complete edition of Sunset Overdrive, provided the deal of publishing with Xbox is up or not. We don't know the terms of that. They could also be working on a Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart follow-up, could be in the form of a small DLC, could be another full-scale project. As well, they've had lots of experience working on VR titles, so they could be working on a Stormlands port or sequel, or even maybe another PSVR 2 title. But as it stands, we know what Insomniac Games is up to, and that's Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine. Another studio where we kind of know what they're up to is Sucker Punch, my second favorite studio of all time. And they just went, actually, with the director's cut of Ghost of Tsushima. So at this point, we kind of knew what they were up to. They're a studio that, unless they're staffing up to make two teams, they usually do one project at a time. So anything I say now is going to be speculation. It could be Ghost of Tsushima 2, or maybe Ghost of some new area as a new entry in the Ghost series. We've heard rumors of there being a Infamous game, but it didn't get shown at the showcase like it was rumored to be. So who knows about that? And also we've gotten rumors of a new Sly Cooper game. And we got that tease within the first special trailer at the showcase where you can see the Sly Cooper logo. But who knows if Sucker Punch is working on this? Chances are they're not. And they're probably working on something new in the Ghost series. Now, when it comes to Naughty Dog, it's absolutely fascinating how much information there is pointing to what they could be working on. The one that's almost all but confirmed is Last of Us 2 Factions, the multiplayer mode that coincides with Last of Us 2, which was already released last year. And Naughty Dog has already gone out of its way to say they are working on it and they're taking their time working on it. And whether we get it is just a matter of them finishing it. Another project we know of that's in development is Last of Us Remake. Yes, for some reason we're getting a remake of a game that's not even that old. But this was started with a company called the Visual Arts Service Group, which was supposedly supposed to be a support studio for PlayStation games, and they're kind of unsung heroes. Well, they were working on their own project because they were tired of doing the support stuff and they wanted to start. And through Jason Schreier's Bloomberg article, we found out that the project was essentially taken from them and given to Naughty Dog, and many members of that support team have left, but that team is still around. They're probably still doing support work. But as a result of this whole debacle, Naughty Dog has this Last of Us remake that's been started already, and it looks like they're gonna go through with it. And then there's rumors of a new IP game that they're working on. It started back a while ago with this IP called Stray's Cross that they were working on, which was supposed to be like a steampunk kind of game, and there were certain things leaked about it. And then later on, you can see artwork that was made by an employee of Naughty Dog who made some fantasy setting kind of stuff. So is this other game related to steampunk? Is this other game related to fantasy? Is it even still around? Because we do know that Naughty Dog's already working on 2 projects. So is this game going to be coming anytime soon? Probably not, if they're working on 2 more projects. But we know that these ideas exist, and there may not be actual games that we're ever going to get, unfortunately. You can follow all of that in the links I've provided below in the description. Just remember, if there's anything you want to corroborate and look into further, I have those links, and then you can go down the rabbit hole yourself. But the last piece I want to say about Naughty Dog, and this goes into the speculation on my part, is I think this Last of Us Factions multiplayer is going to be part of a Last of Us 2 director's cut. If they're going to continue the same trend they've done with Ghost of Tsushima and with Death Stranding, I do think there will be a Last of Us 2 director's cut, and I do think this is going to be part of the package in the same way Iki Island was part of the director's cut package for Ghost. So that's my speculation. I have no proof on that, but that's what I think is going to happen next. Next is Studio Bend. And again, in the same article from Jason Schreier and Bloomberg, we also find out that Studio Bend, after working on Days Gone, wanted to greenlight Days Gone 2, but Sony wouldn't do it. They essentially had other plans for the studio, and that included having a lot of their staff work as a support staff for Naughty Dog projects, possibly on the next Uncharted game. They didn't want that. They wanted nothing to do with that. And a lot of their top talent has left the studio. What is left is that we know that Studio Bend has been granted permission to work on a new game. As to what it could be, nobody knows. Unfortunately, we don't have any information on what is the contents of what they're working on, but we'll find out later. It's unfortunate. I would have loved to see them try again with Days Gone, because I think that game got a raw deal when it first came out. But let's see what they can do with a new IP, and let's see what they come up with. Guerrilla Games is another interesting case, because we already know that they're working on Horizon Forbidden West, and that's been shown at the showcase. That's been shown extensively in a previous state of play, and we know the game is coming out in February. But the Guerrilla Games team is also working on another game, and this has been corroborated by Simon LaRoche, who is a game director of that game. He was formerly a game director of Rainbow Six Siege and a ton of other projects, including a cancelled multiplayer mode for the up-and-coming Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. We know that he's working on this, as he said so himself, and it's been in his LinkedIn page. As to what it could be, we don't know. We just know he has experience with first-person shooters, tactical first-person shooters in fact, and going into speculation, my gut is telling me that we are going to see a SOCOM revival. I think that's the angle they're going to go for, and SOCOM is just so ripe for them to bring back. Of course, this is Guerrilla Games. It could be a Killzone game as well that maybe is going to be a little bit different than the past Killzone games we've gotten. It could also be a new IP, and my pie in the sky prediction is it's Resistance. Maybe they might bring it back, who knows? My gut is telling me this is SOCOM, and I'm willing to be wrong about that. Another studio that we know what they're working on is Sony Santa Monica. They are working on God of War Ragnarok, which got an amazing showing at the PlayStation Showcase. I am so excited for this next game, and a little disheartened that it's going to be the last in that Norse mythology kind of arc in Kratos' journey. But during the post-show, they also said that Cory Barlog is not the director of the game, and he is directing another game that he is willing to share more info later down the road. So that was kind of the confirmation that they're working on a second game simultaneously with Ragnarok. But there was this nagging piece of information that I heard that I had trouble corroborating, but I finally was able to corroborate. So this is going to be a yellow light situation. This game is fantasy based, and this is because of a senior character concept art job listing that said they're looking for people with experience who can create fantasy worlds and fantasy based stuff, including creatures. So it's safe to assume that this game is going to be some kind of fantasy based game. No idea if this is based off an existing IP or not, but we do know that it's going to be something fantasy based, which is cool. An easy studio to check right off the list is Housemarque, and we know they just went with Returnal, so they're definitely starting anew on their next game. Now it could be Returnal 2, it could be a new game, or it could be something in the vein of what Returnal is with the roguelike elements and just be a different kind of title. It could be sort of like a Souls situation where you've got Demon Souls, then you got Dark Souls, then you got Bloodborne. These are all games that are in the Soulsborne series, but they are different and they don't connect directly to each other, maybe in a couple of ways here and there, but not directly. Maybe they could be doing that with Returnal 1 and these future games that they're working on. We definitely know what Polyphony Digital is up to, and that is Gran Turismo 7. I'm sure right now we have all hands on deck for this game, and they are working hard so they can put it out in March, so I can get my hands on this glorious, beautiful game. I can't wait to play it. However, there is a bit of speculation that they might be working on another project, which would be interesting because the last time they worked on something other than Gran Turismo was in the PS1 days with Omega Boost. They have worked on GT for 25 years straight, pretty much, just working on Gran Turismo games. That's what they do. However, Kazunori Yamauchi, in an interview back in April, stated that he is interested in doing different things on top of his commitment to continuing the Gran Turismo series. That's not confirmation that something is in the works, but there might be some pre-production ideas there that could turn into another type of project that maybe Polyphony Digital will want to work on. We'll have to see in the future how it pans out, but right now we definitely know Gran Turismo 7 is coming. I have a soft spot for the studio PixelOpus, who gave us Concrete Genie, which I love that game. But we know they're working on a new game, and oddly enough, it's in collaboration with Sony Pictures Animation. So those two entities are going to be working together on a project. There hasn't been anything reporting as to what it could be, but you know it's going to be super creative, and I just can't wait to get my hands on it. Love that studio. They do a great job. As well, whatever team Asobi is working on, I'm all for it. And they are definitely working on a new game, as they've been officially christened a studio and not a subsidiary of Japan Studios. They're definitely working on a new game. My speculation is that this new game is an Astrobot game. I think the free pack-in game that we got is just a taste of what these guys might be up to and what they're wanting to do. My pie in the sky thing is that I hope they work on an Ape Escape game, because I think these guys are the most perfect studio to work on that. And another thing they could be doing is something brand new. Most likely, I think it's an Astrobot game, and I wonder if it's going to be a PSVR 2 title, or is it going to be just like we had on the PlayStation 5, the pack-in title, or maybe both. San Diego Studios is an easy one to pin down, as we definitely know they're working on MLB The Show 22, as they extended their contract for the baseball games, so they're definitely locked down to be producing one of those every year for the foreseeable future. And now they have to make multiple versions of those games, including Xbox and Switch, which is still so weird to think about. That's probably what they're working on now, and I don't know if they have any other projects. I couldn't find anything, but I imagine they do have their hands full making these different versions of the games that have to come out now. We know that Sony London is working on a big AAA title. As to what it could be, we don't know. They have experience working on VR with the awesome Blood and Truth game that came out in 2019, so it could be a PSVR 2 really big game that they plan to release on it, or it could be just a standard title for the PS5. We don't have a lot of information, but we know they staffed up for a very, very big title. In the speculation part of it, I want it to be a Getaway remake, but we'll have to wait and find out. And of course, the newly acquired Firesprite Studios is up next, and they have a very big headcount at their studio. So we think they're working on at least 2 or 3 projects that they could be working on. One of them could be the rumored Horizon PSVR 2 game that they could be working on, because they also have a lot of experience working on VR titles. And we know this based on a report that suggests a VR action adventure project adapted from one of the most original and successful multi-million selling console IPs in the last 10 years. There are only a couple of games you could think of when it comes to Sony that could fit this bill, and it's a new IP, so it must be Horizon. I think it's pretty crystal clear here that it must be Horizon. Another project that they're reportedly working on is a AAA quality, groundbreaking next-gen PvP shooter project with a games as a service focus. It's in the early stages, and it was going to be a multi-platform project, but now that they've been bought, we don't know if the multi-platform part of it is still going to ring true, but we know that game is in development. This is a big studio. I can't stress that enough. These guys have over 250 people in the studio. It's very possible that they are working on 3 titles. Sony decided to front the costs of all of these people to work there and everything surrounding it. They did that because they must believe in the projects they're working on, and it makes sense that they just be part of the Sony Studios ecosystem. One that people might forget about is Media Molecule, and I think they're very committed to Dreams and what they're doing on that platform. For better or for worse, some people don't like Dreams. I think it's cool, but they're still very committed to making that platform better and bringing it natively to the PS5, which they haven't quite done yet. Other than that, there's been no reports of anything new that they're working on. The newly acquired Nixxes Software is not a studio that works on their own games. They work on porting games to PC, and Sony definitely bought them for that very reason, so there's probably nothing to speculate here. We can only speculate that they're starting to work on some ports for other games. It's not the Uncharted games like we thought they might be starting on, but it could be some other titles, like maybe they want to bring Returnal over or Ratchet and Clank over. I'm sure we'll hear from them very soon, but for now there's nothing to report. And I got my list off Wikipedia, which includes San Mateo Studios and Malaysia Studios. Malaysia Studios was formed very newly, and right now they're a support studio, and San Mateo Studios has always been a support studio. And that rounds out the list of PS studios and what they could be working on based on the information we have. But as a bonus, because I am so very sure that they have acquired Bluepoint Studios, let's talk about what they could be doing. And I want to stress this ever so much that this is definitely the red light speculation, because it seems like these guys could be working on anything. Like, they're so good at remaking games, yeah, they could be working on anything. But the consensus, and the one that a lot of people are thinking they're working on, is a Metal Gear Solid remake. There is a ton of reports of this thing being alive and well as a project, and we haven't been able to pin down who exactly is working on it. As well, there is also speculation that a Soul Reaver Legacy of Kain remaster is trying to be made, but who? Who would be prepared to be able to take on a project like that, like Bluepoint would be? And then the last one that I don't think is in development, but one of the creators at Bluepoint Games has expressed interest that he would love to make the project. That is Legend of Dragoon, and I would personally love to see that game get remade, especially after what they did for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I would love to see this game get remade, as well as a buddy of mine who's a huge fan and would probably lose his shit if this game ever got remade. That's all the studios. Let me know what you think these guys are working on, and if you're wondering how this relates to trophies, well, it kind of does, because these are the games you're going to be playing later and getting trophies for. Is it a good reason to cover this here on a PlayStation Trophies channel? I don't know. You be the judge of that. I would love doing this kind of stuff, and I want to do it after every big Sony reveal so we can have that gut check as to what these guys are working on, and as well give new pieces of information. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out more of my trophy guide videos. They've been coming in red hot. Peace out.